Welcome to the video course of Curriculum and Course Design, a summary of what needs to be considered for doing so by teacher Elmer Santana. Introduction. This video summary course brings together the key ideas developed across the 8 units of the course Curriculum and Course Design at UNIR, offering an integrated overview of the principles, processes, and practices involved in teaching English in contemporary educational contexts. The course approaches curriculum design as a dynamic, reflective, and learner-centered endeavor, in which teachers play an active role in planning, implementing, and evaluating meaningful learning experiences. Across the units, the course progresses from foundational concepts, such as the distinction between curriculum, syllabus, and lesson planning, to more applied dimensions including material design, learning outcomes, assessment, needs analysis, and learning processes. Central frameworks such as the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, CEFR, communicative competence, plurilingualism, and intercultural awareness provide coherence throughout the course and ensure alignment with international standards in language education. This video synthesizes the main contributions of each unit to support personal reflection and deeper understanding. It highlights how curriculum design is shaped by educational policy, institutional contexts, learner diversity, globalization, and technological change, while also emphasizing the importance of learner autonomy, differentiation, feedback, and continuous evaluation. Taken as a whole, the 8 units present curriculum and course design as an interconnected system in which objectives, teaching practices, assessment, and learner needs must remain aligned. The purpose of this introduction is to frame the study summaries that follow as part of a holistic learning journey. By revisiting and integrating these concepts, this document serves as a reference for developing informed, flexible, and reflective teaching practices that respond effectively to the demands of 21st century English language education. Unit 1, Curriculum and Course Design. Foundations. Unit 1 introduces the fundamental concepts and frameworks that underpin curriculum and course design in English language teaching. It begins by defining the curriculum as a comprehensive educational program that integrates objectives, content, teaching procedures, learning experiences, and assessment. The unit emphasizes that curriculum design operates at multiple levels, shaped by national laws, regional regulations, school projects, and teacher decision-making, with each level influencing how learning is structured and delivered in the classroom. A key focus of the unit is the distinction between curriculum, syllabus, and lesson plan. While the curriculum provides the overall educational direction, the syllabus organizes course content and expectations in a structured way, and lesson plans guide daily instructional practice. Understanding these distinctions allows teachers to ensure coherence between long-term goals and everyday teaching activities. Unit 1 also highlights the relevance of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, CEFR, as an essential guide for language curriculum design. The CEFR promotes a plurilingual and pluricultural vision of language learning, defining communicative competence, learning tasks, strategies, and proficiency levels, A1-C2. Rather than imposing a fixed methodology, it encourages flexible, transparent, and learner-centered curricula aligned with real communicative needs and lifelong learning. The unit presents curriculum design as a cyclical and reflective process involving planning, implementation, and evaluation. Teachers are encouraged to continuously revisit and revise curricula by reflecting on classroom practices, learner progress, and outcomes. This process-oriented view reinforces the idea that curricula are dynamic and must evolve in response to changing contexts and learner needs. Additionally, Unit 1 explores the impact of globalization, technology, and knowledge development on language education. It stresses the importance of preparing learners for a globalized world, integrating technology meaningfully, and valuing learners' first language, L1, as a resource in acquiring additional languages. The concepts of depth and breadth of knowledge are introduced to show how broad general knowledge supports deeper learning and more effective language acquisition. Finally, the unit examines the relationship between formal and informal learning, emphasizing that language learning occurs both inside and outside institutional settings. By recognizing and integrating formal, informal, and non-formal learning experiences, teachers can promote learner autonomy and lifelong learning. Overall, Unit 1 establishes the theoretical foundations of curriculum and course design, positioning teachers as reflective curriculum designers who balance policy, pedagogy, and context to create meaningful and effective English language learning experiences. Unit 2, Key Components of Curriculum and Course Design. Unit 2 focuses on the essential components and dimensions that shape an effective curriculum, particularly in the context of teaching English as a second or foreign language. The unit moves from foundational principles to more nuanced and often less visible aspects of curriculum design, emphasizing that curricula are complex systems influenced by learners, teachers, contexts, and pedagogical approaches. The unit begins by identifying 4 key components of curriculum design: subject matter, learners, teachers, and context. Effective curriculum design requires a clear definition of what content is to be taught, whether the language itself or other subjects taught through the language. Equally important is understanding the learner profile, including age, background, prior knowledge, exposure to English outside the classroom, and learning needs. Teachers' roles, beliefs, experience, collaboration with colleagues, and interaction with language assistants also significantly affect how the curriculum is designed and implemented. Finally, the educational, institutional, cultural, and socio-political context must be considered, as curricula must align with national, regional, and school-level policies. Unit 2 reinforces the importance of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, CEFR, as a guiding policy document. The CEFR promotes plurilingualism and linguistic diversity, encouraging curricula that recognize learners' multiple languages and cultural experiences as interconnected rather than separate. It supports flexible curriculum planning, differentiated objectives across languages, and reflective decision-making, while emphasizing learner autonomy and lifelong language learning, both inside and outside school. A significant contribution of the unit is its exploration of the hidden curriculum and cultural curriculum. The hidden curriculum refers to the implicit values, norms, and beliefs transmitted through schooling, which influence learners' attitudes and behavior. In language education, this includes cultural assumptions embedded in the target language. The cultural curriculum moves beyond teaching factual information about English-speaking countries, and instead aims to develop intercultural communicative competence, helping learners become reflective, open-minded, and globally aware communicators in a world where English functions as an international lingua franca. The unit then examines the second language, L2 curriculum, presenting 3 major pedagogical approaches. Content and Language Integrated Learning, CLIL, integrates subject content and language learning through the principles of content, communication, cognition, and culture, promoting meaningful and motivating language use. Communicative Language Teaching, CLT, prioritizes interaction and the use of language for real communicative purposes rather than isolated grammar instruction. Genre-based pedagogy focuses on teaching language through socially situated texts and genres, helping learners understand how language functions in different contexts. Each approach is analyzed in terms of learner roles, teacher roles, curriculum organization, materials, and assessment. Overall, Unit 2 presents curriculum design as a multi-dimensional, reflective, and context-dependent process. It emphasizes that effective English language curricula must integrate explicit components such as objectives, content, and assessment with implicit dimensions such as culture, values, and learner identity, while making informed pedagogical choices suited to specific educational contexts. Unit 3, Creating Materials. Unit 3 focuses on the practical application of curriculum and course design through the creation of teaching materials, emphasizing the direct relationship between curriculum, syllabus, and lesson planning. This unit bridges theory and practice by guiding teachers in transforming curricular frameworks into coherent and pedagogically sound classroom materials. The unit begins by stressing the importance of understanding the educational framework before designing materials. Teachers must be aware of national and regional laws, school projects, institutional expectations, available time, assessment periods, physical spaces, and learners' prior knowledge of English. This contextual awareness ensures that materials are realistic, legally compliant, and aligned with institutional goals. Unit 3 revisits and deepens the distinction between curriculum, syllabus, and lesson plan, but from a material design perspective. The curriculum establishes the competences, objectives, and knowledge that must be developed across a course. Teachers are required to gather information, analyze legal requirements, review the school project, and consider the competences defined by the CEFR when designing curricular materials. This ensures that materials contribute meaningfully to long-term learning outcomes rather than isolated activities. The syllabus is presented as the organizational tool that structures materials over time. The unit explores different types of syllabuses, particularly product-oriented and process-oriented syllabuses. Product-oriented syllabuses focus on predetermined outcomes, accuracy, and content mastery, often reflecting traditional or behaviorist approaches. In contrast, process-oriented syllabuses emphasize learning processes, learner participation, interaction, and task completion, aligning more closely with communicative and constructivist views of language learning. Understanding these distinctions allows teachers to select or adapt materials that match their pedagogical objectives. A significant part of Unit 3 is devoted to the lesson plan as the most immediate tool for material implementation. Lesson plans are described as structured yet flexible guides that outline objectives, activities, timing, interaction patterns, materials, and assessment within a single lesson. Teachers are encouraged to evaluate lesson plans critically, ensuring alignment with curricular aims, learner needs, and communicative goals. The unit reinforces that lesson plans are not retrospective documents, but proactive tools that support effective classroom management and learning progression. Throughout the unit, emphasis is placed on coherence and alignment. Materials should reflect curricular objectives, follow the syllabus structure, and be realistically implementable through lesson plans. Teachers are positioned as reflective material designers who must evaluate not only the final product, but also the learning process generated by the materials. Overall, Unit 3 presents material creation as a context-driven, reflective, and pedagogically informed process. It equips future English teachers with the skills to design, analyze, and evaluate curricula, syllabuses, and lesson plans as interconnected tools that support meaningful, communicative, and goal-oriented language learning. Unit 4, Learning Outcomes. Unit 4 focuses on learning outcomes as a central element of curriculum and course design, emphasizing what learners are expected to know, be able to do, and demonstrate by the end of a learning process. The unit frames learning outcomes as essential for aligning curriculum objectives, teaching practices, and assessment, ensuring coherence and transparency in English language education. The unit explains that learning outcomes go beyond the acquisition of isolated knowledge and must integrate skills, content, and attitudes. These three dimensions work together to support meaningful and effective language learning. Outcomes should be clearly defined, realistic, and observable, allowing both teachers and learners to understand the purpose and direction of instruction. A key emphasis of Unit 4 is on skills development, particularly the 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. These skills are not treated in isolation, but as interconnected abilities that contribute to communicative competence. The unit highlights the importance of designing activities and assessments that reflect real-life language use, encouraging learners to apply skills in authentic and meaningful contexts. The content dimension refers to the linguistic and thematic knowledge learners acquire through the curriculum. This includes grammar, vocabulary, discourse, and functional language, as well as thematic or subject-related content when language is used as a medium for learning. Unit 4 stresses that content should be carefully selected and sequenced to support progression, ensuring that learners build on prior knowledge and gradually increase their level of complexity and independence. The unit also highlights the importance of attitudes in language learning. Attitudinal outcomes include motivation, confidence, openness to other cultures, learner autonomy, and willingness to communicate. These effective factors play a crucial role in successful language acquisition and lifelong learning. Teachers are encouraged to design curricula and classroom practices that foster positive attitudes toward language learning, cultural diversity, and collaboration. Overall, Unit 4 presents learning outcomes as a holistic construct that integrates skills, curricular frameworks into coherent and pedagogically sound classroom materials. Unit 5, Assessment in Curriculum and Course Design. Unit 5 focuses on assessment as a fundamental component of curriculum and course design, emphasizing its role in supporting learning, guiding instruction, and evaluating educational outcomes. Rather than viewing assessment solely as a mechanism for grading, the unit presents it as an integral, continuous, and pedagogically informed process that must be aligned with curriculum objectives, learning outcomes, and teaching methodologies. The unit begins by clarifying the purpose of assessment in language education. Assessment is used not only to measure what learners know, but also to understand how they learn, how effectively teaching strategies are working, and how the curriculum itself can be improved. This perspective reinforces the idea that assessment should inform decision-making at both the classroom and curricular levels. A key distinction explored in Unit 5 is between formative and summative assessment. Formative assessment is ongoing and embedded in the learning process. It provides continuous feedback to both teachers and learners, helping identify strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement. Summative assessment evaluates learning at the end of a unit, term, or course, often through exams or final projects, and is used to determine achievement in relation to established objectives. The unit emphasizes that effective curricula require a balance between formative and summative assessment, ensuring that evaluation supports learning rather than merely judging it. Unit 5 also highlights the importance of alignment between assessment, learning outcomes, and instructional activities. Assessments should reflect what learners are expected to achieve in terms of skills, content, and attitudes, as outlined in the curriculum and learning outcomes. This alignment ensures validity and fairness, particularly in foreign language education, where communicative competence must be assessed through meaningful language use rather than isolated knowledge. Another important theme is the assessment of language skills and communicative competence. The unit stresses that assessment should cover all 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and, where appropriate, integrated skills. Authentic assessment tasks, such as presentations, interactions, written texts, and projects, are encouraged because they mirror real-life language use and align with communicative and learner-centered approaches. The unit also acknowledges the role of alternative assessment methods, including self-assessment and peer assessment. These practices promote learner autonomy, reflection, and responsibility for learning, aligning with the CEFR's emphasis on transparency and lifelong learning. By engaging learners in the assessment process, teachers help them develop metacognitive awareness and a clearer understanding of quality and progress. Finally, Unit 5 presents assessment as a tool for curriculum evaluation and improvement. By analyzing assessment results, teachers can reflect on the effectiveness of content, methodology, and materials, making informed adjustments to future curriculum design. In this way, assessment becomes not only a measure of learner performance, but also a mechanism for enhancing teaching quality and curricular coherence. Overall, Unit 5 positions assessment as a dynamic, reflective, and learner-centered. Unit 6. Assessment Unit 6 is dedicated to assessment as a key element of curriculum and course design, highlighting its role in monitoring learning, supporting teaching decisions, and ensuring that curricular objectives are achieved. The unit presents assessment as an integral and continuous part of the teaching-learning process, rather than a final or isolated stage. The unit begins by establishing the principles of assessment, stressing that assessment must be aligned with curriculum aims, learning objectives, and learning outcomes. Effective assessment allows teachers to determine not only what learners have learned, but also how well instructional strategies and materials are working. In this sense, assessment contributes to both learner development and curriculum evaluation. A major focus of Unit 6 is the distinction between formal assessment and informal assessment. Formal assessment refers to structured and planned evaluation methods such as exams, tests, final projects, and graded tasks. These forms of assessment are usually linked to institutional requirements and are used to certify learning and measure achievement at specific points in time. Formal assessment must be valid, reliable, and transparent, and it should reflect the competences and skills defined in the curriculum and the CEFR. In contrast, informal assessment is ongoing and embedded in everyday classroom practice. It includes observation, classroom interaction, questioning, feedback, peer assessment, and self-assessment. Informal assessment provides immediate information about learner progress and difficulties, allowing teachers to adapt instruction and support learners more effectively. The unit emphasizes that informal assessment is essential for promoting learner autonomy and reflective learning. Unit 6 also highlights the importance of assessing communicative competence rather than isolated language knowledge. Assessment should address the 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, often in integrated ways that reflect real-life language use. This approach aligns assessment with communicative and learner-centered methodologies, ensuring coherence between teaching, learning outcomes, and evaluation. Finally, the unit reinforces the idea that assessment plays a crucial role in the continuous improvement of the curriculum. By analyzing assessment results, teachers can reflect on the effectiveness of content, methodology, and materials, and make informed adjustments to future course design. Assessment is therefore presented as both a tool for measuring learning and a mechanism for enhancing teaching quality and curricular coherence. Overall, Unit 6 positions assessment as a dynamic, reflective, and learner-centered process that supports meaningful language learning and strengthens the link between curriculum design, instruction, and evaluation. Unit 7. Needs Analysis. Unit 7 focuses on needs analysis as a fundamental tool in curriculum and course design, emphasizing its role in identifying learners' real linguistic, cognitive, and affective needs in order to design effective and relevant language programs. The unit presents needs analysis as a systematic and reflective process that informs curricular decisions rather than a one-time diagnostic activity. The unit explains that needs analysis goes beyond identifying what learners lack. It also explores learners' wants, expectations, attitudes, learning preferences, competencies, and learning processes. By collecting this information, Teachers can better understand who their learners are, what they already know, what they need to achieve, and how they learn most effectively. This learner-centered perspective ensures that curricula are meaningful, motivating, and responsive to real educational contexts. Unit 7 outlines the key steps involved in conducting a needs analysis. These include defining the purpose of the analysis, identifying the target learner population, recognizing institutional and contextual constraints, selecting appropriate tools for data collection, and analyzing the data to inform curricular decisions. The unit stresses that needs analysis should directly influence decisions about objectives, content, syllabus type, methodology, and assessment practices. A significant emphasis is placed on the flexibility of needs analysis. The unit clarifies that needs analysis can be implemented in both formal and informal educational settings, with learners of all ages and proficiency levels. It can be conducted through various methods such as questionnaires, interviews, observations, group discussions, and informal classroom activities. Importantly, needs analysis does not have to be written or conducted exclusively in the target language. The use of learners' first language is permitted when it facilitates accurate and meaningful responses. The unit also highlights that needs analysis is an ongoing process, not limited to the beginning of a course. As learners' goals, proficiency levels, and learning conditions evolve, teachers are encouraged to revisit and update their analysis to adjust the curriculum accordingly. This dynamic approach supports continuous improvement and ensures that teaching remains aligned with learners' changing needs. Overall, Unit 7 presents needs analysis as a cornerstone of learner-centered curriculum design. It equips teachers with the tools to make informed pedagogical decisions, align curricula with learners' real-world needs, and create flexible, inclusive, and effective English language programs grounded in systematic reflection and evidence-based practice. Unit 8, Learning Processes. Unit 8 focuses on learning processes and how they influence curriculum and course design in English language teaching. The unit emphasizes that understanding how students learn is as important as deciding what they learn, positioning teaching as a learner-centered and reflective practice. The unit begins by introducing key theoretical perspectives on learning, highlighting that learning is an active, cognitive, and social process rather than the passive reception of information. These theories inform curriculum decisions by shaping how content is presented, how activities are designed, and how learners are supported throughout the learning process. A central contrast explored in Unit 8 is between teacher-centered and learner-centered approaches. Teacher-centered models prioritize direct instruction and control by the teacher, while learner-centered approaches emphasize student participation, autonomy, and responsibility for learning. The unit advocates for learner-centered practices, especially in language education, as they promote engagement, interaction, and meaningful communication aligned with communicative and constructivist principles. The unit also addresses differentiated learning, stressing that learners differ in abilities, learning styles, motivation, and pace. Effective curricula should therefore provide varied tasks, levels of support, and multiple ways for learners to demonstrate understanding. Differentiation is presented as a strategy for inclusion, equity, and improved learning outcomes. Another important component is the use of cooperative learning groups. The unit explains how structured group work fosters interaction, negotiation of meaning, social skills, and peer learning. Cooperative learning supports language development by increasing opportunities for communication and collaboration, reinforcing the social nature of language learning. Unit 8 further introduces practical classroom strategies such as bell ringers and exit tickets. Bell ringers are short activities used at the beginning of a lesson to activate prior knowledge and focus attention, while exit tickets are brief tasks completed at the end of a lesson to reflect on learning and provide feedback. These tools help teachers monitor understanding and adapt instruction in real time. Finally, the unit distinguishes between feedback and assessment, emphasizing that feedback is a learning-oriented process aimed at guiding improvement, whereas assessment evaluates performance against criteria. Effective feedback is timely, specific, and constructive, helping learners become more aware of their progress and areas for development. Overall, Unit 8 presents learning processes as dynamic, interactive, and learner-centered, highlighting the need for curricula that support differentiation, cooperation, reflection, and meaningful feedback. The unit reinforces the idea that understanding how learners learn is essential for designing effective, inclusive, and responsive English language curricula. Conclusion. Taken together, the 8 units of the course curriculum and course design present a coherent and comprehensive framework for effective English language teaching in contemporary educational contexts. The course moves progressively from theoretical foundations to practical application, emphasizing that curriculum design is not a static or technical task, but a dynamic, reflective, and learner-centered process. Across the units, teachers are consistently positioned as active curriculum designers who must interpret educational policy, respond to globalization and technological change, and adapt instruction to diverse learners and contexts. The clear distinction between curriculum, syllabus, lesson planning, learning outcomes, assessment, needs analysis, and learning processes highlights the importance of alignment and coherence at all levels of educational planning. The course also reinforces the central role of the CEFR, plurilingualism, intercultural competence, and communicative approaches, ensuring that language education prepares learners for real-world communication rather than isolated linguistic knowledge. At the same time, it emphasizes inclusivity through differentiated instruction, learner autonomy, informal learning, and continuous feedback. Overall, the 8 units collectively underline that high-quality English language education depends on informed decision-making, continuous evaluation, and responsiveness to learners' needs. By integrating curriculum theory with practical tools such as material design, assessment strategies, needs analysis, and learner-centered methodologies, the course equips future teachers with the professional competencies required to design meaningful, effective, and sustainable language programs for the 21st century.